Come on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 164 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Area 51 Sports Network. Josh Ray joined alongside Nathan Durek, as per usual, talking all things soccer. So the Vancouver Whitecaps finally have a coach.
About time.
Finally, about time. And his name is Jesper Sorensen, a Danish coach who recently got sacked, actually a month ago, from his old club. What was it? Rigard, something like that. Yeah.
Brøndby.
Brøndby.
Yeah.
One of the top teams in the Danish league, by the way. And Sorensen, unlike past Whitecaps coaches, actually has top flight experience. It's the Danish league, but Denmark is a top football country. Produced some good players over the years.
Not only that, but Brøndby themselves have been a bit of a hotbed for famous Danes in and around Europe as well.
Yep. And the first impression about him is not only is he experienced, but he is a very pragmatic coach.
Yeah, he talked about himself being pragmatic. He's very, I don't want to say soft-spoken, but he's more just very even-tempered, especially from what we're used to in Whitecaps coaches over the past 3 years or so. He comes to Vancouver at an interesting time, and I think he recognizes that. The fact that basically we had the introduction and they were off to Marbella to spend three and a half weeks together. It's probably a good thing. It'll give them a bit of a pressure cooker to get to know each other and to start figuring out what they're going to be doing for the next season or for this season.
Yeah, and Sorensen said that, formations are just like the start of it. He doesn't, not like past coaches or other coaches around football, he doesn't stick to one formation. He just basically said he wants to see what he has first before deciding tactics in a formation, which is good.
I got to say, I'm a fan of that too, especially when I take a look at a number of the teams that I follow and how rigid they've been in a tactical philosophy and how that's actually been to their detriment. I'd rather have a manager that's open to change as the situation dictates itself. We've been able to see some of the games that he's done in the past. We know that. He's gone between a back four and a back three. We know that he's gone with a two-striker system before. He talked about using a 4-3-3 at times as well. But he also talked about, he put out the example, right? If I'm going with a 4-3-3 and I've got two wide wingers and I come into a team with no wingers, it makes no sense, right? I'm not going to blow up what the team has right now just to try and suit a system, because you're not going to be able to do that for a year and a half once you've had a number of transfer windows. So
yeah. He basically said that he's not here for a revolution, but more for an evolution.
Yeah.
And Axel Schuster did say back in November that he wanted a coach that likes what they have already and won't change too much. And looks like Sorensen is that guy. And looking at his managerial career, after 15 years as a player, assistant coach with his hometown club and the club he played for many years, Aarhus, AGF, because I cannot pronounce the whole name for the life of me. And then
not a chance.
Yeah, he did take Silkeborg from the second division to the first division, but was sacked halfway through his second season because of they were last place. And then he spent 3 years at Fredericia in the first division in Denmark, coached the Denmark U21s, and then Brøndby, and now Vancouver Whitecaps.
Yeah. It's going to be a wait and see. We need to recognize this is the first time in his professional career, both playing and coaching, that's going to be outside of Denmark. Yeah. Moving to MLS is an interesting choice in that regard. It's a step up, it's a step down, it's a step laterally all at once. Brøndby is the biggest club in Denmark, right? It's got the
one of them, the
largest. It's got the largest fan base. It's it's the one that people follow. They're continually playing in Europe, in either Europa or Champions League. they've got a following that goes beyond the borders of Denmark, which is saying something for a club in Denmark. Lateral, because it's I'm assuming, like, when we look at the MLS, a lot of people compare it to the lowland countries of Netherlands, Belgium, all that, in terms of
Scotland, even, yeah.
level. Scotland, you got to think that Denmark is in and around that level as well, right? Step up in that this is a big move for him, right? Yes, he has lived in Canada before. His wife worked in Toronto for a number of years
as a doctor.
Sounds like a highly specialized research oncologist.
Yep.
And they enjoy their time here. So, but this is now doing this move for his career. So it's a step up in that, it shakes up his family a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how they make that switch yet again.
Yeah, and I asked him, like, how are you going to adapt, or what challenges are you looking forward to? And he said, yeah, the travel, because the longest he's gone on the road is 4 hours by bus.
Yeah.
This is a league where you can fly 5-6 hours across the continent.
Especially in Vancouver, where you've got like the longest away trip in domestic football in the world from us to Miami.
No one in MLS travels more than the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Yeah.
So
he's got something to get used to there.
Yeah, and he said, how am I going to, select the team, given all this travel and all that? And the thing about Sorensen is he knows how to make a big impact quickly at each of his jobs. At Silkeborg, first season, won the league title, got promoted. Federicia, apparently, good first season there too. And at Brøndby, he took them from like 5th to 2nd or 3rd in half a year. And they almost won the title in the second year, but lost it on the final day.
Yeah. It's a good signing. It feels like a good signing. At least he was saying the right things. In terms of what we're going to see, I think we're going to have to wait. He did talk about understanding this is a product, right? It's a business. We got into that a little bit when he was asked a few questions about the sale of the club and whether or not that played anything into his decision. But he understands that product is also the product on the pitch, and it has to be entertaining. It has to bring fans wanting to watch the team. I like that, but I want to see a team win games. I don't want there to be any sort of hiccup or retraction in this team.
Yeah, and that's what he was.
An evolution. I want to see that evolution right away.
Yeah, and that's what he and Axel both have talked about. Yeah. And given his tactical philosophy, we mentioned he's very pragmatic, but the best word that could describe Sorensen, as I read from a Danish article about his tactics, control, because it's very possession based. It's not like like a Jurgen Klopp style football where it's just.
Although he did mention Klopp as one of his people that he looks up to.
Yeah, but with Klopp, it was very chaotic at times and very fast paced. While Sorensen's style of football is more of, think of like an Arne Slot, where it's more cautious and controlled and waiting for the right time to attack, kind of like Thomas Tuchel when he was at Chelsea.
Waiting for the right time, but waiting for the right time with the ball. From what he was talking about, he's not a counter-attacking guy. He wants control of the ball because he says if you don't have the ball, all you can do is react.
Yeah, because if you have the ball, that's how you dictate the game. Pretty much. And that's football.
Yeah. He talked about control and influence, and he says with the ball you can control and influence. Without the ball, you can only influence. So
yeah, and he said when I asked him about that, he said that's very important in MLS because you have good players in this league, and he did say MLS is very attractive for players and coaches to go now, and it's very well known in Europe now, especially because of that Messi guy. And he talked about that you got to control the game with the ball, make use of with the ball, but don't be too don't throw it away so easily. Don't be too chaotic. Just be patient with it, and of course at the same time be very good defensively, because Brøndby were also like among the highest among opponents' XG during his time there.
Yeah. which is good. I mean, he's got a team that puts balls in net, right? And not only that, but his average points per game, I believe, 1.75, nothing to sniff at. I think Vanny was around 1.4 something.
Yeah.
So,
and a big difference between Sorensen and Sartini is Sorensen isn't really much of a pressing type of coach. Vanny Sartini is all about the press.
Yeah. High press, high line, which ended up, hurting him on occasion, right?
Right. And Sorensen is more about structure. And just, I know it's a very small sample size, but I took a few of Brøndby's highlight packages, the good ones I could find that weren't all over the place. It seems like they play a low to mid block defensively.
Okay.
So unlike Vanny, where it can be very high line.
When we're talking control, do they play out of the back as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, that suits guys like Kakioka, right?
That's a very small sample size, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I would assume they would, right? If you want to hold on to the ball, you hold on to the ball right from the very beginning, right? You don't need these long things over the top, and then it's just a free-for-all.
Yeah, and some might say, oh, that's not very exciting, possession-based, controlled. But Brøndby, a lot of their fans are saying, yeah, no, it was very exciting when Sorensen was the coach. And
the general message for him is there's a lot of respect for him from where he has been.
Yeah.
So,
and
on top of it, we should mention that last year with Brøndby, he came in partway through the season. The team wasn't doing that great. Got them moved up one more year. He got them to within a point of the championship.
Yeah, but as I said, they lost it.
Unfortunately, the last game. Yeah.
Yeah, and possession-based football is exciting, obviously, when you score. That's what Sorensen said.
If you're going to hold on to the ball, you better be doing something with it.
Yeah, because if you're just passing it around and not scoring, then that's not exciting.
No, not really.
And there are a lot of Brøndby fans in the official announcement on Twitter and social media saying, good luck, we'll miss you. It seems that the fans really enjoyed his time there. And I guess the biggest reason why he got fired from Brøndby was not only like losing games, but I guess the final straw is they got knocked out of the Danish Cup early.
Yeah. That, I mean, they weren't losing a lot of games, but they were drawing a lot of games.
Yeah. And basically they wanted more.
To drop a lot of points. So
they wanted more. And it felt like, as I read, they weren't realizing their potential with him there.
Yeah.
But let's hope the Whitecaps can realize their potential with Sorensen now in the fold over here. And honestly, I think this is a good appointment. It could work. And sure, some people say, oh, it's not a big name. Oh, he hasn't won much. Well, honestly, his resume is better than all the previous Whitecaps coaches when they got into the job.
You and I talked about when we were looking at, where a potential coach could come from. And I think you and I both settled on that while there are names at the time when, there was about 5 clubs looking for coaches, both of us thought that it's going to be something out of left field from Europe. We both thought that. And this is no surprise to me.
I thought it would be a German guy, but Danish. Close enough, I guess.
A little bit more north, right?
Yeah. And with the players that the Whitecaps have so far, they still need more signings. By the way, more on that later.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see, does he play Ryan Gauld with Stuart Armstrong together in the 10, given his preferred 3-4-2-1 formation, or if he goes somewhere else? Does he use Ali Ahmed as a wingback, a winger, or in the midfield? Where does he play certain guys? But
a couple of questions. One, back 4, back 3. Don't know.
We'll see.
Just going to wait and see. 2 at the front. Or do we do that rotating of a 3 at the front when you have 2 10s and a 9 that we saw many times last year? I think there's going to be a combination of it. My big question is, when it comes to him, is how are you going to utilize a player? For me in particular, it's Andreas Kubas.
Yeah.
Kubas, as a defensive midfielder, played between those lines. You don't see that a lot in what Sorensen had done, right? Like there's a
Right.
defensive structure, but it's basically very defined defensive line, midfield line. There's nothing really in between those. I do wonder if you might see maybe, a couple of eights, but they don't play along the same line, right?
Yeah.
One shifts back, one shifts a little bit forward. That might suit him, but I'm going to be very interested to see how Andreas Kubas fits into this, because
Same with
we're so used to him being a linchpin of that defense,
the holding guy.
right? Yeah. It'll be
Um,
interesting to see how he's utilized.
Yeah, as I mentioned, Stuart Armstrong who could play up the pitch or deep further back. See how he's utilized. Does he go with one striker? Do you go just White up top, Gauld, or Armstrong, or a new signing as a 2-10s? Depends on what formation Sorensen will use, and he has time to get to know the players, see what they can do, and then he can decide what kind of formation he wants to play. And
Not only that, but Sorensen himself was a midfielder, right? So, we're talking about the midfield right now. I mean, this is a guy that's where he lived in his playing career, right?
Yeah, I know midfielders. They think the game. They're thinkers.
Yeah.
No matter which.
Yeah.
The kind of midfielder you are, you have to be a good thinker. And Sorensen brings a clear identity to the club, which is really nice. And welcome to him. And hopefully, he is the guy to take Vancouver to the next level. Of course, people online saying, "Oh, he looks like Bill Burr." Someone said he looks like an Axel Vanny hybrid. I always thought he looked like Thomas Tuchel, but bald.
Yeah, I see that when I see.
Hopefully, he is as pragmatic as Tuchel.
Yeah.
And their tactical styles, just from reading, are very similar, like possession-based, controlled. So, just from his introductory press conference 2 days ago, seems like a guy who's not as loud as Vanny, but when he talks, you want to listen.
And he's willing to talk. I think that's the main thing. Is like, I think not the fear, but some of the apprehension from the media side was, are we going to guide a guy that doesn't talk at all? I mean, we talked to the hockey guys with the Canucks, and that's the situation they deal with. We've got a guy that so far has been very open. I mean, he answered questions. It was about 3/4 of an hour, which I'll take it, right? You take whatever you can get, but that was definitely a very welcome initial sign.
Yeah, no anti-socialist rants, no anti-religious rants or anything like that. But
hey, I enjoyed those.
Yeah, we all enjoyed those. But he's all business, and
yeah.
He said that he's willing to learn and he wants the players to learn, and it's just a guy that is open to a lot of ideas and tactical systems.
And he's going to have to be, because he's dealing with an existing, not only the players, but an existing coaching staff as well. We know he has the opportunity to bring one person with him. No mention of that yet, but he already talked about he's going to be relying on D'Agostino, on Youssef, on Forster. I think is the video guy.
Forster,
those are the guys that are here. They know this club, so that's what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, and I just can't wait to see what he can do with the Vancouver Whitecaps. So that's the coach signings. Still need to happen, though. There are reports, I believe, from Mexico that they seem close to signing a 20-year-old forward from Toluca named Anderson Duarte. And
it's also just been recently, in the last 20 minutes, confirmed by Tom Bogert of Give Me Sport. Basically, Anderson Duarte, he's a 20-year-old Uruguayan youth international. He's a forward. It's looking like, if anything, this would be a loan, and it would fill the Whitecaps' final U22 initiative spot. Highly rated. He had moved to Toluca from somewhere. He had moved from a Defensor in Uruguay for about $4 million transfer fee. Hasn't had the best of time in Mexico, though, so far. Out of 7 starts, he's only got 1 goal. But he's 20 years old, right? It's the expectation of this player. So, it's a signing. I don't think it's the signing that's going to wow everyone yet, but
no,
this is a project signing again as well, which means that as a loan, I'm expecting it's a loan with a buy option later in the future.
there is, yeah. It's a loan with an option to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, won the U20 World Cup with Uruguay in 2023. And this is a guy that seems he has talent. He just needs more game time. And the Whitecaps...
He needs more game time. In 7 games in Mexico, he's only got 136 minutes.
Yeah.
He hasn't started a game yet, right? So this is Mexico, this is Toluca sending him out to get game time. Yeah, I'm not too sure yet. It's going to be interesting, but his resume is very small. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, small sample size, it seems. Here's the analytics, courtesy of Caleb Wilkins, the 3rd sub.
Yep.
Not too bad. Especially passes. Tackles, too. That's interesting.
Yeah, especially for maybe not as high pressing.
Yeah, and apparently he can play striker and a winger. So he's one of those forwards that can play multiple positions. Okay. But we talked about the Whitecaps needing another attacker. Well, that's one, but they need someone more proven, to say the least.
Again, it's going to be interesting. I want to see what they're going to play as a formation first. We'll have to wait and see. Speaking of that, we've got a couple of more preseason games in the schedule. Yeah. We now have 4. We talked about Raquel, Shez.
Yeah, I'm not even. I don't think I can pronounce his name.
Anyway, from the Polish top division, St. Patrick's Athletic. Cool. A couple of more. One from Ukraine, Linz Charaski, and then afterwards will be from Sweden. And you want me to?
Oh my lord! IF Roma Podgorna.
You know what? Well done.
I don't know. I don't know if I even got that right.
There's a J in there, so yeah. Anyway, 4 games. I don't know if that's the final schedule. We'll have to wait and see.
Given that they officially put this out, I believe it is.
It feels that way, yeah.
Other than St. Patrick's Athletic, everything else seems like a Harry Potter spell. All their names. No offense to any fans of those teams.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, I mean, the club from Sweden I've heard of numerous times.
I've heard of them.
They're in terms of youth development, they're one of the top in Sweden for players going either to other Swedish clubs or eventually making the jump off point elsewhere in Europe. I think that'll be a rather exciting game to take a look at. St. Patrick's, I would say, is the one surprise in there.
Don't think they've ever played an Irish team in their preseason.
No, I don't think so. But no, it'll be good. We're used to them either playing teams within, Germany, Austria, things like that. So this is definitely looking elsewhere.
Yeah, and it's cool that Sorensen can see what he has, and preseason is basically a dress rehearsal for the season.
And it's going to be it's just going to be a mishmash of testing. I mean, I guarantee you we're going to see a whole bunch of different formations almost in every game. There's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of changes. Half times, I bet you're going to see wholesale changes of the squad just so he can see what he has in a game situation, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a lot of stock in this preseason.
And I don't think
this is going to be a testing ground, and that's it.
That's what preseason is. Testing, experimenting. It's letting Sorensen cook. And fortunately, we won't be able to see these games in full, just highlights.
Yeah, I hate it when they do that.
but at least we'll see something. So
Yeah.
that's the Whitecaps, and other news around MLS.
Quite a lot.
A lot. Miguel Almiron, who has been rumored to leave Newcastle for quite some time now, is apparently heading back to MLS and back to Atlanta United, where he won MLS Cup in 2018.
Yeah.
I don't. It looks like he'll be a DP. 10 million pound package is what they're saying. 11 million, containing, according to David Ornstein.
He had a good career.
Yeah,
with Newcastle, right?
but he's fallen off a cliff.
He's fallen off in the last year. Yeah, he's not really within the plans. So, I mean, this is a move for himself, and it's one I understand.
Yeah, I mean, Newcastle are flying right now, but they're not going to be flying with him because it just feels like his time there has been coming to an end for quite some time. He's been surpassed by the likes of Tonali, Guimaraes, and Joelinton in the midfield, and he's barely played anyway this season.
Yeah. Anyway, good for him. Good guy to have back in MLS.
Yeah. He's like 30 years old now, so it is a bit risky to give him a DP contract from what I'm reading.
At 30, I mean, he's at the top of his game. I mean, yes, it may trail off a little bit, but I'm guessing he still has. I mean, a DP. I'm guessing this is what 2-3 years. I don't even know, or 2 maybe with an option.
Yeah,
that's okay. This one for me is kind of out of left field. The possibility of Wilfred Zaha to Charlotte
on loan, apparently. According to
I
Tom
know,
Ogre
but do you remember like how every club in England wanted Zaha?
Yeah, when he was at Palace.
Yeah,
I remember Chelsea were linked.
Spurs were after him for like 2 years.
So was Chelsea, but they signed Ziyech instead.
It just this feels like if I was Zaha, this kind of feels like a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, I mean, since he left Crystal Palace, he's been at Galatasaray.
Yeah.
And it just feels like he hasn't been the same since.
I don't know. Maybe, I mean, Galatasaray is a big club, right?
Yeah,
maybe the move just didn't work out. I don't know.
Bogart has said on his podcast, Soccer Wise, that it seems like Charlotte have wanted Zaha for a long time.
Do they have his discovery rights? I say that without laughing.
I believe they do.
Okay.
And some guy named out of Turkey, Jakub Sinar, says Charlotte will pay 85% of his salary.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Of all teams, Charlotte.
Yeah. Anyway, San Jose. Bruce Arena comes in. Bruce Arena starts bringing in players.
Yeah. This kind of reminds me of the Colorado Rapids of last year. Terrible season. And then all of a sudden they start making moves.
That's because the Cronkies realized that they had a team in MLS.
Yeah, Josef Martinez, the veteran striker, former MLS Cup MVP, I believe. He signed there, and this one, Chicho Arango from RSL, one of the best players in MLS.
Arango needed a change of scenery.
Yeah.
This gives it to him, so we'll see if it works.
The San Jose, they're making a lot of moves. Not just 2 of them.
Yeah, but 2 big moves. They're going to be a team that might surprise a few people. I mean, they've spent a number of years at the bottom of the Western Conference. I think they've kind of gotten tired of that.
Yeah, and I mean, like we said about San Jose for a while now, it can't get any worse, right? So, I mean,
until they show us a way every time.
I mean, given the amount of acquisitions they've made so far, really, it can't get any worse. It has to get better, right?
It has to, yeah.
Especially when you bring Arango into the club, who player that also has been a thorn in the Whitecaps side for a while now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I should also mention that Canadian Mark Anthony Kay is also part of that squad now too.
Yep. Speaking of Canadian teams, TFC, they were part of the number of teams looking for a new coach, and they settled on Robin Fraser.
Yeah, another MLS guy. He's been out of the job since he got fired from Colorado in 2023.
Yeah.
Thankfully for me, I'm glad the Whitecaps didn't even take a sniff at him. So Robin Fraser is the new Toronto FC coach, replacing John Herdman. So Jim Curtin is not having a job right now because he wants to take some time off, as we mentioned last week. And Vanni Sartini is also still in the market. So they went with Robin Fraser, who has coached.
I wonder if this is
USA
more just like
Colorado.
hiring the guy you know, because he was an assistant at Toronto for 4 years between 2015 and 2019.
And won the MLS Cup there.
Yeah. So I don't know. This doesn't feel like a step up.
It feels lateral, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
From watching the time in Colorado, I mean, sure, he didn't have the best squad, but it wasn't really the most exciting brand of football either.
Yeah. You got to think about Toronto and, the influence that they believe they have as a club that, spends quite a bit of money. They could have brought in a name.
Yeah.
Settling on Robin Fraser seems like MLSC wanting to maintain a certain level of control.
Yeah.
You have to wait and see what it does. I don't know.
What does it mean? There's been rumors that Lorenzo Insigne could leave the club, but as of now, he's still with them for preseason and all that.
What he wants,
exactly.
He probably wants to go. The team probably wants him to go,
but nobody wants him.
There's a whole bunch of paper and signatures in the way.
Yeah, and it seems that MLS are putting up guaranteed buyouts for 2 contracts.
Yeah,
according to reports. So I mean, no brainer for TFC to use that on Lorenzo Insigne.
Well, you got to wonder this year with the Whitecaps if that might end up being Damir Kreilach.
Yeah,
right. I mean, last year Martins, I think was the one. So yeah,
it was.
So here's a weird one.
Neymar
to Chicago. Apparently there's 3 teams that are interested, but Chicago holds the discovery rates and they're the only ones that have opened official talks. Extremely preliminary, but Neymar's dad, I don't know if you've ever followed Neymar whenever something's going on. His dad
would always
chimes in. Basically, his said is if he's coming to Chicago, he wants a deal either equal to or greater than what Lionel Messi gets.
Yeah. And according to Tom Bogert and Ben Jacobs, that's what they're pursuing, plus sponsorship opportunities. Of all teams, Chicago.
Yeah.
That's not...
Well, they hold the discovery right, so it makes sense that they're the ones that are going to jump in. But you think of it this way, Messi is on, $20 million a year, plus he makes his money in the sponsorship, the Apple deal, and all that. That's where he's making... I mean, $20 million is good money, but he's making the bulk of his money elsewhere. Neymar... with what was it, Al Hilal? I think he is with.
Barely played because he hurt his leg again.
Yeah, but he's on $100 million.
Yeah, and
base salary.
Want him to stay until the summer.
The thing is he's not registered with the club right now. Since he got injured, he has not been registered because you're only allowed to register 8 foreign players in the on your team. He is only able to play in the Asian Cup, their Champions League version. But I mean, that's the thing with Neymar. It's you can pay absolute stupid amounts of money for a player that you're lucky if he plays 5 matches.
Yeah, as I said before, not for this guy's injuries, he could have been even greater in his prime.
But this for me is out of
left field.
It's out of left field or out of Soldier Field.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to play on that pitch. Say what you want about BC Place, but that pitch looks terrible on TV.
Another one I wanted to mention that we haven't talked about is Sebastian Driussi of Austin FC. It looks like he is gone. He's back to Argentina with River Plate.
Man, it's like Austin have fallen apart in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Driussi was like their big guy
for many years.
Yeah.
Austin is going to have to figure themselves out. And this one is one of the weirdest stories that popped up out of nowhere. FIFA every now and again publishes their clubs that are banned from transfer windows, and the Philadelphia Union are on it.
Yeah, of all teams, the Philadelphia Union, according to FIFA, I'm going to bring it up here because this is just so.
Yeah, basically what it stems from a player that they had signed, I believe, to their next pro team, but they paid the transfer fee. It was with a Venezuelan club in March of 2002. But you always have to pay a fee that goes to wherever that player did his youth play. It's like a bit of a parachute payment. And they couldn't find this guy's youth club. And even when they did find him, they couldn't figure out where to pay the money. While they were trying to figure this out, FIFA found out about it, put him on the ban list, which puts him on a ban list for 3 transfer windows. That's a year and a half. And the amount of money that they owed, $700.
$700.
That's it. 3 transfer windows and $700. Now, apparently the money has been paid now. Like they finally figured out a lawyer who to give this money to, paid it, but FIFA hasn't updated anything yet. They said they're not going to update it until they've received confirmation of it. So, yeah. Now, this isn't the first time an MLS club has found themselves on the ban list. It's happened a couple of times before.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, but
$700.
A 3-window transfer ban over $700 when the club was actively trying to figure this out. It's comical. Like it's rules getting in the way of common sense.
Yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah.
But anyway, can't get any worse for Union. Like, they lost players. They lost Jim Curtin.
Well, they fired Jim Curtin.
Yeah. And, of course, fans weren't happy about that.
I understand the fans.
Yeah.
I understand.
But this is just wild. Over $700.
Yeah.
All right. To the Northern Super League. Big news out of Ottawa.
Yep.
4-time Olympian Desiree Scott has signed for Ottawa Rapids FC, which is massive for them.
Big name, big presence in the Canadian women's national team. Not so much anymore. She's kind of on the tail end of that part of her career. But big move for not only Ottawa, but for the league.
Yeah, and big name. Part of the Canadian Olympic teams that won medals. Just great to grow the game in Ottawa. And they're not the only team that signed a Canadian international, and the one closest to us has signed a Canadian international that has been a constant on Team Canada.
Yep.
Quinn.
Yeah. Huge. Phenomenal signing. Quinn is an absolute dominant player. They are the highest drafted Canadian player in the NWSL ever. I think they went 3rd overall.
Canadian, yeah, 3rd.
Yeah. Hundreds of games under their belt, not only domestic, but for national team as well. First name on the team sheet, any team they've played.
Yeah, won gold and bronze, 6 years in Seattle with the Reign. They don't have to go too far, Seattle to Vancouver. And this is massive for the league and for Vancouver Rise FC. And they will also be playing out of Swangard. So if you want to see Quinn, that's where you got to go.
Yeah, waiting on the stadium for quite a while. That Swangard, I think, was the number one choice. Always, there's a history when it comes to Vancouver Soccer and Swangard, not only the Whitecaps, but when they had their women's team back in 2010, 11, when it kind of folded back then. It's nice to see them playing back there. Quinn's going to be a part of that. I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, and she's going to be a huge part of Vancouver Rise.
We still need
more.
They
still
need more players. Obviously, there's not a starting 11 yet. They're working to it. I think I'm trying to remember what Shanae King and Stephanie Labbe said. They're looking for a roster that's going to be in the low 20s, I think.
Yeah,
for the first year.
So far, they have what, 6, 7?
They had the 5. They've done one more. I think this is 7.
Yeah, and that includes 2 goalkeepers.
That includes 2 goalkeepers, yes.
So Vancouver Rise are starting to build something, as with the other Northern Super League teams, as the season kicks off in April. So all they need now is more players. Because they got the stadium, they got the coach, and they got some players.
Yeah.
Some big news from the CPL. I can't believe this was the actual Fabrizio Romano that tweeted this. Grady McDonald, Vancouver FC 17-year-old, he is on his way from Vancouver FC. Talented midfielder, by the way, has a lot of potential, and from what I've seen, very calm and composed. He is going to play, set to join Club Bruges' second team, Club NXT Bruges. It's going to be a 350K euro fee plus add-ons, and this is the biggest transfer export in Vancouver FC's history.
That's a sizable chunk for a CPL team. I don't know if you saw the official, like how many players the Vancouver that Vancouver FC released. They are a squad in desperate need of players.
Yeah. So
I'm hoping this gets reinvested.
It has to be.
It has to.
They lost that forward.
They lost a number of players. Caden Chung is gone.
Chung's gone.
A whole bunch. Now they're still in talks with a number of those players. There's always the possibility they could come back on a new deal. Think of like Ryan Raposo, Alessandro Schopf that are still in possible discussions with the Whitecaps. I mean, it's mainly just options not getting picked up. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Anthony White, Renan Garcia. They lost a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Well, Callum Irving and Nico Giantsopoulos, that's a good goalkeeping duo, by the way.
They've got pieces to build around, but there's not a lot of time to do it, right?
Yeah. So hopefully this McDonald money can be used, and all the best to him in Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
He's been called up frequently for the U17 Ireland international team. So all the best to him, and good to see another CPL product make their way to Europe.
Absolutely.
And then, speaking of Fabrizio Romano, he says, Alphonso Davies to Real Madrid. It seems that it's close as it's ever been because this saga seems to never end. But when Fabrizio Romano says something, it's still a big deal. But
basically, it sounds like the contract extension with Bayern Munich did not go through. Now, they were offering him big money. He would have been the second highest paid player on the team behind Harry Kane. But there's something going on there, whether the rumors of Davies' agent and, the Bayern Munich hierarchy not getting along. Davies, apparently there's questions about Davies and whether or not he has faith in the ownership of Bayern. Bayern's gone through some upheaval in the last number of years, including the people that brought him to the club no longer being with the club. Real Madrid is starting to look big. Even was it Marca, the Spanish paper, was saying that the deal is basically done. Although take what they say with a grain of salt.
Though I think Fabrizio debunked that.
Yeah,
him or some other.
Fabrizio, I would say, is probably the one with his finger on the pulse more than anyone else. There's a lot of people watching this, not just us in Canada, right? I mean, this is a big name. Davies has been associated with the likes of Man United. I think
Yeah.
Liverpool at one
Liverpool.
point, but I don't
At
see
one point, they see him the successor to Andy Robertson.
Yeah, but Real Madrid has always been the front runner. I feel like this is a matter of time. Basically, Bayern Munich want him to make a decision, and they want him to make a decision right now because he only has until the summer left on his contract.
Yeah, and Florian Plettenberg, Kerry Howe, insiders said Real Madrid are intensifying their offers, and it's also been reported that he rejected the Bayern's latest contract offer.
Yeah. Now, there's also discussions that says that Davies Asian is also in discussions with Liverpool and with Man City. I don't know if they're, probably my guess is you're going to take one of those offers. Real Madrid is already out there. You're taking a look at everyone else to see if you can maybe force Real Madrid to up theirs. I have a feeling that this is going to be done. It's just a matter of what can we get that's the most. Can we get other teams to make offers, which puts pressure on Real Madrid to up theirs?
Yeah. So that's we'll see where Davies the saga continues to draw out for the next 6 months because it's interesting. It's entertaining.
I feel the deal is going to get done
before then, yeah.
Before the end of January. Not that he moves, right? He can sign on a free, finish his contract at Bayern, and then move in the summer. But I feel like the ink is going to be dry well before that.
Yeah. So big news for the women's team. They finally have their coach as well. So they have hired former Chelsea, Manchester United, and San Diego Wave coach Casey Stoney, English manager. This is a statement hire. This is a big swing.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting move. First time with the national team for Casey Stoney, but a big resume. It's been described as a bit of a coup signing her.
Yeah.
For the women's team. And I'd agree with that.
Yeah, and another good hire from Kevin Blue, CEO of Canada Soccer, brought in Jesse Marsh last year for the men's team, and now Casey Stoney, who still just 42. She already has a lot of experience.
Yeah.
She was England captain as a player, so
she 130 or over 130 caps with the national team in England.
Yeah,
was a part also of that Great Britain squad in London 2012 when they had the Olympics there, and they had to put a team in because you're hosting. Was a part of that. Not a lot of crossover. I mean, it's not often you find England playing Canada unless it's an international tournament. But obviously, she knows a lot of the players. In the Canadian setup.
And Stoney says she brings an attacking style football to the women's team, and that's something Canada has lacked for like a year or so, with that ruthlessness in the final third. And she basically said in her press conference that they don't want to be like just a team that holds onto the ball a lot. They want to be direct and attacks the space behind the opponent.
The other thing I like is that it's a hire that's outside of the Canadian echo chamber, right?
Yeah.
It's someone from outside that's going to come in, is going to bring in new ideas, but they're also not a part of that stigma that's going to be hanging around the team. This is someone new. This is someone to change the game. I like it.
I love it. Yeah.
I think it shows an interesting side to what Kevin Blue has done with the entire Canadian setup. If there is an award for best national team executive in any sport, you got to put his name up there because he has had a very difficult job since he has come in.
Yep. Oh, he has faced hell.
And he has just moved from adversity to adversity and continued to show the strength that he has.
Yeah, and Canada women's team still dealing with the effects of the drone scandal and all that, but Stoney has been like this turmoil. Apparently, this isn't new to her. San Diego has dealt with a lot of off-pitch issues over the past
That's
few
true,
years,
actually. That is very true.
and her exit was quite controversial as well from there. So this isn't new to her, and she knows how to get through adversity. And can't wait to see what she does with the women's team and how she can improve the attack. So this is, like you said, this is a coup from Kevin Blue and Canada Soccer, and welcome Casey Stoney.
Absolutely.
So
we're not going to see
Europe.
the women's team for a little bit, though. There's not really any tournaments up on the horizon, but hopefully that also gives her a chance to
See what she has.
meet the players, to figure out what she's got, and they kind of get up and running.
Yeah, and no men's tournaments until the Nations League semifinal. As Jesse Marsh said, they tried.
March, right? March,
Yeah.
February.
They
March.
tried for a January window, like what the U.S. is doing right now, but no funds.
January windows don't necessarily, like, the thing is, you can have a January window, but who are you going to play,
Exactly.
right? Like
And that too.
there is no established January international break. So I mean, the US can do their thing, but the US is only doing their thing usually with young kids or MLS based
MLS players like Brian White.
Yeah, I mean, sure, Canada can do this thing. I'm not fussed about it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
We should also mention, speaking of Canadian women, Geneva Hernandez Gray of the Whitecaps Girls Elite Academy is heading to Portugal.
Yeah.
To play for Sporting, which is a big move.
Great move for her. I was really, really hoping that she'd go up to the Rise. That's a little bit of wishful thinking. This is, you know what? This is a big move. She
deserves it.
Just 18 years old, I think, but coming off a great year with the League One team, also getting a little bit of the international experience.
Yeah, she got a taste.
The Champions Cup that they played in. Big test, big move.
Test, big club too, Sporting.
Yeah.
To see.
Be interesting to see what she does.
And speaking of Girls Elite Academy, it's worth noting that Katie Collar is now an assistant coach with Vancouver Rise.
That too. That is true. Which,
so
I mean, that was
moving on up.
Katie Collar was either going to do that or she was going to be maybe an assistant with the women's national team. I think she probably had both options open. It was a matter of what did she want to choose. Seeing that move, though, it does wonder what the Girls Elite are going to do for their coaching.
Well, the posting was out on Indeed, so
yeah, you can apply.
Yeah, you can apply if you want, if you have coaching experience. So, off to Europe. It's panic time for Chelsea. Last month or so has been terrible. Ever since that game against Brentford, just 3 points out of a possible 15, which is not good enough. So 2 days ago,
hey, I would take that actually with my team.
Yeah, 2-2 draw to Bournemouth after a dominant first half. Like Chelsea were controlling the play, Bournemouth couldn't get anything going offensively other than a poor pass from Robert Sanchez. That was just a perfect half. Cole Palmer scores again on a great assist from Nicholas Jackson. But Chelsea could have been up 2, 3, or 4-0 in that game because Nicholas Jackson missed a bunch of chances again. I mean, I'm a big defender of the guy, but I don't know. He just needs to stop missing sitters from 5 yards out. Like, that assist is why I'm a big defender of him, but my God. Like, it's like 3 games in a row where he's missed close-in chances. Like, everyone was cooking. Enzo Fernandez was moving like he was Ronaldinho. The Jadon Sancho was taking on players. Nani Madueke was doing well. They were cooking in the first half. Then the second half, that was so terrible. It all starts when Moises Caicedo takes down Semenyo in the box, clear penalty, clear as day, no one argued. No chance for Robert Sanchez there. And then the Bournemouth score again, not too long after. Some poor defending from just about everyone on the pitch. And there, no, it was Cliver who scored the penalty, sorry. And Antoine Semenyo got the go-ahead goal later. Poor defending. Chelsea were so sloppy with the passing and everything. Poor substitutions from Maresca. Sure, Reece James for Lavia made sense because Lavia needs his minutes managed. And Reece James needed to get back out there. But I don't understand the Josh Achipong guy sub for Tosin. Because Achipong was creating as a right back. And not like Tosin did much anyway when he came on. And I guess Joao Felix coming on for Madueke, I believe, kind of helped. Like, just play this guy more because he can actually do something. But I don't understand. After this team goes through adversity, they just crumble. And sure, David Brooks got away with sending off after he pulled Mark Cucurella's hair, literally. I don't know how he didn't get sent off, but that's not an excuse. I don't understand it. This team, when there's adversity, they just crumble. It goes to show, still a young team, needs some leadership, and there needs to be more bite in this team. But thankfully, Chelsea got a draw. Thanks to Reece James scoring a free kick deep into stoppage time. It could have been worse, but this was just a terrible performance. And by the way, that was Reece James' first league goal since August 2022 when he scored against Tottenham.
Wow.
It's been that long
Yeah.
since he scored a Premier League goal. And for the love of God, please stay fit. Please. Like, every time you see Reece James move, like, don't get injured, don't get injured.
You know
Please.
it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, this team, like, things were going well a month ago, but tough times has hit. Goes to show Maresca was right about this team not being in the title race. But Maresca, a lot of it's on him for his poor subs and his lack of adaptability in the past few games. But they should have won the Bournemouth game in the first half. Just not a single win since December. I don't even know, like mid-December, since the Brentford game. Not a single win. And Chelsea have Wolves on Monday, and they better win that game. And it's just concerning because look at the table. Newcastle are flying. Man City are starting to awaken, especially since they're going to spend more money. Arsenal are winning games again. Nottingham Forest, more on them later, but look at how they're playing. Chelsea are they're on the edge. They got other teams breathing down their necks. Man City are 2 points behind them. And things need to turn around fast if they want to make top four. A striker is still needed. I don't know what's going to happen this window, but Nicholas Jackson is just so inconsistent. But there has been some news. Trevor Chalobah, as mentioned last week, has been recalled. Thank God.
You talked about that last week, yeah.
They need some help on that right center back side, and Chalobah is that guy. And despite the way he was treated, was willing to return and wants to make it work. Thank God. And thank goodness Axel Disasi seems to be getting sold, and there's a lot of interest from French and Italian clubs. A move to Monaco is on the table. It's possible. And Carney Chukwuemeka, Cesare Cassidy, though that one's going to be on loan, and Ben Chilwell are expected to leave. Totally forgot about Ben Chilwell, to be honest, because he hasn't played at all. And Christopher Nkunku is reportedly leaving this month and is reportedly close to joining Bayern Munich. And this one's interesting. It could be a possible swap or a separate deal for Matthias Tell. 19-year-old winger, skilled, can score goals, though he hasn't scored since April. I mean, okay, sure, but I don't think Chelsea need another winger. Yes, he can play striker, but striker, center back, and goalkeeper need to be the priority. We already have enough wingers. Cool if they sign Tell, but it's not like, wow, this is great, as like some people on Chelsea Twitter are saying. He's talented, though. Potential world-class player. French wonder kid. And if you played Football Manager or FIFA, I'm sure you know about this guy's potential. And this one's weird too. Renato Vega wants out due to lack of game time at center back, his natural position. And he's been playing midfield and fullback, but he only wants to go out on loan. And it seems like Dortmund are the one to get him.
Yeah.
But Chelsea want to sell him permanently, but he wants a loan, which is just weird. The whole thing is just weird. And Chelsea are, this team needs a lot of work because the last month has not been good enough. And this is just, it's just scary because at this rate, if they keep playing like this, they may not even make top 6 next year. So figure it out now. And
at this point, maybe I'd take top 6.
Yeah, you take top 6. At this point, make a signing or two. Maresca needs to figure it out, and please beat Wolves. Because if they don't beat Wolves, there's going to be a lot of anger from Chelsea fans, especially since it's Wolves.
Yeah. Interesting thing with Chelsea, though, is I don't know if you saw this, is the anti-discrimination organization Kick It Out has been sending letters to Infantino, to Chelsea, and a few others over the lack of inaction of the video that was taken about Enzo.
I didn't see this
in the summer.
Yeah.
So still no action. They're angry that they said action would be taken, and then a month later he was made captain. They're saying that still nothing. They're comparing it to the Bentancur situation. Those situations are different. Bentancur was done outside of a national, environment. Fernandez was obviously, winning the cup. So, but interesting to see if there's anything that's still yet to come out of that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I'm good. I'm glad Chalobah's back, and glad that Disasi seems to be leaving. Yeah. Disasi was just a weird signing. I mean, like 37 million from Monaco, and it's not like he's better than Chalobah anyway. So, it goes to show a young squad, inexperienced squad, that this stuff was bound to happen. I mean, it's not like I'm surprised that Chelsea have fallen off over the past month. This is bound to happen. And as for a striker, sure, you can go out and break the bank for Osimhen or Gyökeres, but they need someone to compete with Jackson. That's why Liam Delap of Ipswich is an option, and he apparently is interested in joining Chelsea.
Yeah.
Why they were linked to John Duran, but he's going to cost even more now. So they don't really need to break the bank for a striker, but get someone good enough. That's all. And for Tottenham, I was hoping that they do Chelsea a favor in the top 4 race, but that was wishful thinking.
I wish they'd do themselves a favor. That was a hard game to watch. Yes, Tottenham got the first goal. Great effort. Great strike off Son, off the volley. Yes, it took a deflection, but the skill to take that shot was great. But for the 25 minutes before that, it was all Arsenal. It was all Arsenal. And honestly, Arsenal, I think Tottenham got lucky that Arsenal didn't have a few, because this was the first game of Kinski, brand new goalkeeper for Tottenham, in the Premier League. He played in the 2 cup games before this, but first game, he is too complacent on the ball. They brought him in because he is really good with his feet, but I don't think he realized the speed of the Premier League, because he got caught numerous times playing around with the ball and then it getting stolen from him, and almost goals. Like, it was heart in mouth for a few of those plays. You got to hope that this is just first game jitters. He's now going to understand what he has to deal with. It's going to get better, but that was testy. Arsenal would get back into the game. They got 2 goals right before the half. First goal, Arsenal in corner kicks. What can you say? I think they've got 10 goals in corner kicks alone this year.
How was that a corner, though?
You can argue that should not have been a corner. It went out on the Arsenal player.
Went off Trossard.
Yeah, unfortunately, those are not reviewable calls when it comes to VAR. They shouldn't be. But you know what? At that point, you have to say, look, it's given. There's nothing you can do about it. You have to defend against it. And they didn't. They didn't. Goes down as an own goal off Solanke. A bit harsh. It actually went off two different Tottenham players on its way. But, who was it did the run? Gabriel, I think?
Yeah, Gabriel.
Fantastic take off that corner.
That guy's good at like runs into the box, Gabriel.
He made a beeline right for that far post and just Kinski tried to get in there. Unfortunately, he had bodies in the way. He couldn't react in time. You had both, it was Solanke and one of the defenders. I can't remember who, but unfortunately went off both players into the net. And then only minutes later, Trossard bombing down the left.
What a goal.
Yeah.
Tottenham.
I don't think Solanke had a touch in the opposition's 18-yard box until almost the 60th minute. Like, it was just they did kind of get back into a little bit. Obviously, they brought in James Maddison. That helped things, but too little, too late. And Tottenham has one win in the last 9 games. And you have to say now, if it wasn't for the fact that they are in the semifinals of Leagues Cup, that they've made it to the 4th round of the FA Cup.
Yep.
I don't know if Postecoglou would be with this team.
You're right.
He is on thin ice. He is on very thin ice. And don't get me wrong, injuries have absolutely decimated this club. There's been some weird transfer stuff that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Alfie Dorrington has been sent out on loan to Aberdeen for the rest of the season. Good for him to get minutes. But when you have one healthy center back and you're playing an 18-year-old midfielder who you had repurposed as a right back, who you are now repurposing as a center back, why don't you put in the center back that you already have? I get that he's young, but if that's all you got, that's all you got.
Well, if he needs minutes and you're thin on center backs, you got to use them.
I don't know. Richarlison got some minutes. He's back and healthy, so it's nice to see him getting back on the pitch. But there are so many problems with this team right now. I don't know where you start. But you have a coach that is entertaining. You have a coach that has a very, very defined philosophy, but you have a coach that is unwilling to change when circumstances dictate that you have to.
Right.
I don't want to blame things on the coach, but the problem is he is not helping himself in this situation. So right now, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Tottenham can pick themselves up. I think on the weekend they play Leicester. But since the end of November, Tottenham's form has been 18th in the league.
Holy.
Tottenham's form has been relegation style.
Oh, yeah.
They're sitting in 13th right now.
Yeah, I believe they are. 14th.
13th.
They're above Man United.
Will only a point above them. So Man United will jump them if all things go well. So out of your quote-unquote big 6 or big whatever teams, I don't know. I don't know where this team goes right now. They need more signings. They were trying to get Randall Kolomuani from the French league. I'm trying to remember from PSG. He ended up looks like he's going over to a loan with option to buy with Juventus. That's not happening. Yep. It looks like they're now after Brentford's Brian
Mbembo.
A number of teams are after him, so I don't know if that's going to happen. Oh, he's been playing phenomenal. He's got 13 goals in the season so far?
Yeah.
But yeah, Tottenham's in trouble. Tottenham's in trouble in multiple fronts, not just injuries, but from the inaction because of those injuries. Yes, they signed a goalkeeper. They needed to do that. I'm happy they did that. They cannot stop there. They need a center back.
They got half a month to do it.
They're looking, at the forwards, but they need more. Other than that, it looks like Will Lancashire is likely to leave on loan as well. They're looking at a championship side. Nothing yet. Waiting to see.
Yep. Man, both our clubs struggling.
Oh, I know. 1 point in the last 5 matches, I think.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of struggling clubs, Everton fired Sean Dyche hours before their FA Cup game against Peterborough. Quote the utter woke nonsense meme.
Yeah.
And they brought back their former hero, David Moyes. And Everton currently sits 16th in the Premier League, just a point above the relegation zone, though they did lose yesterday to Aston Villa.
Yeah. You know what, though? I think David Moyes is an interesting hire for Everton. I mean, he calmed that ship for years. They never really kind of got above a certain level, but he was stable. And right now, maybe that's what Everton needs.
Yeah, and Moyes, under Moyes, I believe Everton were like a top 8 club.
Yeah.
Throughout his tenure.
Yeah. They were punching just into like those final European spots now and again.
Yeah, I believe they did make Europe.
Yeah.
When he was there.
Yeah.
Did good well elsewhere except Man United.
Yeah.
Won the Europa Conference League with West Ham in 2023. I mean, Everton just want to right the ship, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if he's the guy, but they have problems beyond the manager.
They even Sean Dyche has come out and said that David Moyes is a good hire. Now, and when you're crediting the guy who's now taking your job, that's something.
Yeah, that really says something. And I saw on yesterday some fans wearing blue hats saying "Make Everton Great Again" in response to David Moyes coming back.
That's a slogan that just needs to die.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what Moyes does with Everton. Like, if he can keep them up, that should be the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. I have said, like, I expect Everton to go down. I think I've said that every year for the past 4 years. They somehow hang on.
Yeah, they hang on by a thread.
Yeah. We'll see what happens now.
Yep. So, as mentioned, Nottingham Forest are still flying. A very entertaining game with Liverpool, 1-1 draw. Liverpool had the more chances, but Nottingham Forest and Matt Sells and their defense came up big. Helped Salah kept missing like from 3 yards. And
why couldn't Nuno be like this when he was with Spurs?
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe because it's Spurs.
Because it's Spurs, yeah.
And guess who scored for Nottingham Forest again? New Zealand's finest, Chris Wood.
Yeah.
And Liverpool obviously stormed back with Diogo Jota, 66th minute, but Forest, forget Wood scoring, but their defense, like, so stingy. And Liverpool had a hard time breaking it down and couldn't convert.
Well, that's what Nuno's known for, right? I mean, he comes from that whole kind of Mourinho school of park the bus sort of thing. Again, it's a 2-2 score, which is not something you expect with, his style of play, but it's working right now. They are the surprise, but they're working, and it's weird to say, but there is a title race.
Forest are in the title race. Imagine telling this to someone a year ago.
Yeah. But also being able to take those points off just a little bit, Arsenal winning, getting back into second place. There is a title race. I'm going to say it's only between the top 2, Liverpool, Arsenal, being only 4 points behind. You can't discount Nottingham Forest, though, right?
Wait, when's the last time they lost? I can't remember.
They drew
not too long ago.
5 games ago. But yeah, they're 5 game. I mean, they're doing great. And then also Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle keeps doing what they're doing. They're gonna stay in a conversation. I don't think they're in the race. They're 9 points off the top. I don't see Liverpool dropping that many.
Me neither.
But Newcastle's not losing. So if there happens to be a draw here or there with Liverpool, I mean, I don't know. Weirder things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, Nottingham Forest. Remember, this club was criticized for signing so many players. Apparently, it turns out they found a bunch that worked. Found a coach that had a good system.
They've stuck with Howe. That's been a big thing.
And look at this, second in the Premier League, third rather, but
Oh, sorry, Nottingham. Yeah, sorry, Nottingham. Yeah, third. Yeah, also doing that while losing some players as well to so-called bigger clubs in the offseason.
yeah. I mean, Forest are the feel-good story, and I wouldn't be mad if they made top four.
They are the Leicester story this year, right?
Yeah,
I mean, yes, they're not in the top, they're not number one, but I mean, we'll wait and see.
yeah, we'll wait and see. And we'll end it with another good story. So, French fifth-tier club Bourgoin Jalou, I believe that's
Amateur club. It's an amateur club.
So basically, like a non-league club,
Yeah,
knock out Lyon out of the Coupe de France on penalties.
yeah. Game was 2-2 at full time. 4-2 on penalties. This amateur club just knocked out one of the biggest clubs, not only in France, but arguably in Europe.
Yeah.
Out of the cup. So you know what? Credit to you. Stories like this, I mean, they're always nice to see, so long as you're not a fan of the big club. I mean, Tottenham almost had that happen with Tamworth. They had to go to extra time and finally put in 3 in extra time. But yeah, crazy stuff. So nice to see.
Yeah, magic of cups.
Yeah.
So that'll conclude this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Follow me on Twitter, Joshua00. Nathan is at Anduric. Podcast is at Terminal City FC. We'll continue with writing with Whitecap stuff, Canada stuff, and all things soccer for Area 51 Sports Network. We'll be back next week talking more footy. So that concludes this week's episode. Peace out.
Take care.